Are you testing? Are you testing? Oh, boy. Alright, I guess in the meantime, we'll stream snipe David Wilcock. Yar har 𝕿𝖒𝖕𝖒𝖕𝖒. Being a pirate is alright with me. Do what you want because a pirate is. You are a pirate.
Every day of the week at home. So the whole concept of somebody standing there and talking to me about what to do in a lesson is kind of hard to take, I guess. You hear it all your life. So that was one of the things about yoga. The other thing is, as a public figure, people are going to zoom in on me if I go to a yoga class. So I wasn't into that. But also, as it turns out, the real reason was I had long-standing injuries, and yoga was difficult for me to do. It was painful. So I didn't want to face the pain, and I said,
What kind of injuries did you have, bro? Come on.
And then I moved to LA, and like everybody in LA is addicted to this. And you got to ask yourself, why do people get so addicted to yoga? I don't get it, man. Like, that's all you do. You got your freaking mat, you got your freaking roller, you got your little yoga block, you got your skin-tight hot ass pants, right? That hot ass is a very important part of what's supposed to come out of getting this work done, that your body starts to look fantastic.
Well, I didn't need that image
I was never that athletic.
Your ass and yoga pants, Wilcock.
I said, you know, I see people wasting their whole lives away on this, going to yoga class every day. You don't have time to get anything else done. What's the point? And I didn't really get it. I didn't understand why people got addicted to it, but now I do. Because there is a level of healing that you can get from long periods of stretching or from massage therapy. So again, I totally actually support the idea of doing something like yoga or other similar types of stretching disciplines, because your body needs to do this. If you don't stretch your muscles out, then these knots I was talking about will stay. So what yoga does over a long, gradual period of time is it heals these knots. And people may or may not even realize this, but this is, again, the muscle bloop. Let's say you're holding a yoga posture for, you know, several minutes, and let's say you're bending down and touching your toes. Let's say you're into that kind of a pose. As you're in this position, you might suddenly feel a muscle just go, and it just kind of pops, and it realigns in this funny way, and then all of a sudden, whatever tension you were feeling in that muscle, it relaxes. And now the muscle has healed, because up until that happened, that bloop happened, it was actually knotted up against the bone or the fascia with this glue that the muscle makes as it tears. So you got to rip through physical wounds, physical tissue, scar tissue. And in yoga, you'll just feel something pop, or sometimes you'll actually get your joint to crack. Your joint just goes pow in the middle of something that you're doing. It's like, dang, like the hip joint or the knee joint, or the ankle in some cases. So anyway, now that I have been through this, based on what Archangel Michael was asking me to do, the time loop started in 2021 with these tapes I just showed you. And now I've got this amazing jacket. I mean, this is money in the bank, son. That's all I can say. And I'm trying to make it look good. There's a tag hanging out there, but dude, I just feel like such a man now with this jacket. I'm definitely like an alpha male, and I'm able to just smash and conquer and destroy the opposition with this ridiculous, gargantuanly successful outfit.
Wilcock, you look like a faggot.
Incredible poise and aplomb and confidence and power. This is a power jacket, man. This makes me feel like a man. So thank you, 7 Geometric Thought Forms. Oh my God. That's more of the Jonah Hill style of comedy, the introverted nerd who thinks he's a lot cooler than he really is. I love that kind of comedy. Anyway, moving on. As a result
oh man, this
of
shit's
all
funny,
of this work
dude.
that I've been doing on myself to get these therapeutic massages done, oh my goodness, you guys, our background lights aren't on. I just realized that. We got to fix that right now. Oh, that's like a muscle bloop in and of itself. We just blooped the room. Okay. Now I wondered why it didn't quite look right. Well, that was why. We are back like a flaming fireball of hotness and smoke and incredible sexual prowess, rock and roll stardom. This jacket
okay,
because
it's people were making jokes about sexuality, so he's got to come out here and like
I wouldn't even
around.
want one, man. Now that every single year they do the same crap, right? So skip the Grammy Award, keep the sizzle jacket, use it for the liberation of humankind. That's what I want to do after all this time of getting these massages done. I am so happy to say I slept 8 hours in a row last night. This was utterly impossible. You guys know from previous weeks what a hard time I was having. It was nearly impossible. And the main reason why was that my body hurt too much to sleep that long without having to get up. So I now know that, this is a little bit shortened. It shouldn't really say any pain, any muscle pain, but I couldn't squeeze it in, make it look good. Okay, so I just want...
What kind of scar tissue? I mean, we talked about David Wilcock is... Like, what is he doing to get scar tissue? Is he on a battlefield? Is he sparring with people? Like, what scar tissue, bro?
Like, you know, in a mindfulness meditation, I can say, yeah, right now I feel it in my tricep here. I just had a massage done yesterday, and it was very painful, and it lasted for 4 hours. So I definitely am feeling some things over here. We work the full body every time I'm on the table, and it's just a question of if it's face up or face down.
I bet they work full body.
But I'm in there for 4 freaking hours at a time, going through agonizing pain. And finally, after all of this time, I've gotten almost all of the major acute pain points in my musculature solved, top and bottom. It's a remarkable transformation. And it's when you're on the table.
This is the funniest shit, because this guy, like, what exercise or what physical labor is he doing to get one scar tissue and to be in pain all the time? So, again, this is another grifting angle, right? Because shit hurts. And the only way to make that pain go away is rubbing a little bit of money on it. Oh.
Tolerance. So I will take it right up to the point where I'm either about to scream or I am screaming. And you have to go through profound discomfort for 4 hours. You're lying there trying not to scream. But then you put pressure on a particular muscle and it hurts so freaking bad, and you might be sitting on it for...
Is that where all this donor's money to? Is going to some Asian massage parlor? I wonder if it gets a happy ending.
Suddenly pop.
Dudes.
Pain stops, and now she can lean in on that area and you don't have any pain at all. It's amazing. And I've been through... I get an average of 15 bloops per session that are really big bloops of some kind. And it's dazzling, the effect that it's had on my health. So the pain that you feel in your muscles, that's what I meant to say there, is a result of scar tissue. And there is a mind-body connection with this scar tissue. In other words, we're actually going to be reading quotes from the Edgar Cayce readings about how psychological illness is rooted in scar tissue in the muscles and demonic possession. The Cayce readings directly said when they found cases of people who were very abusive, who were always yelling, who were unable to be happy, they're impossible to please, they keep on hurting people around them. The basic psychopath persona, which is the persona of the DS, the main antichrist enemy that we're facing, as you've heard me say in previous weeks, those personalities are being inspired by possession, by demons. This is actually what the Edgar Cayce readings taught, and that the way to heal that is through...
Coming from a dude who literally says he's possessed by angels, which again, angels don't possess people. They don't need to. I digress.
Insofar as negative entities like rotting, messy stuff as a habitat. So guess...
Demons and them body thetans.
And your back always hurts and it doesn't quite work right and you don't quite walk right, which was my problem. And let's say you've had that for 20, 30 years. The muscle inside the knot is atrophied. It doesn't get blood flow. So you have rotting tissue inside your body. It putrefies. And it hurts because it's not healed and it doesn't have good blood flow. So the nerves are pinched in there, and that's why it causes pain. The mind-body connection is that the pain of your muscles equates to mental pain. And it can add up to spiritual pain as well. So in other words, if you don't heal these scars in your muscles, if you're not either doing something like yoga, or again, if you're getting therapeutic massage, or maybe you can do it yourself. I mean, I use a roller on the floor. I stretch on the roller. I stretch out my back. I go for those pain points. But even just sitting on the floor and getting into different positions on your butt, on your side, on your back, etc., your shoulders, even if you're not doing yoga per se, if you just stretch the parts of your body within reason, and obviously you should always ask your medical professional for advice. If you haven't already been doing this, you should consult with someone first, whether that's a yoga training school or whatever. Get a massage from a massage therapist. Find out what's going to work for you, if it's safe for you to be able to work on the floor like that. But a lot of people can. You can get on the floor and you can just sit there on what hurts. And another trick that they tell you to do is the tennis balls under your butt. You sit in the chair. I'm not doing it right now. But you take 2 normal tennis balls and you put them on your sit bones. And sure enough, that heals you. So sorry, I haven't really been looking at your donations. This is a very targeted teaching I want to get into in this show. HEI says, when people get drunk and aggressive, that creates karma. How much of that is the wanderer's fault for drinking too much? And how much do you think is the evil spirit possessing the body's fault? First super chat. Thank you very much. So, yeah, the problem is that if you don't take care of your own health, then things like alcohol, remember, hard liquor is called spirits, these negative entities can get in and they can affect you. The unfortunate reality is that if a negative entity inspires you to do something, then you did that on your own free will, and you're karmically accountable for the behavior that you had under so-called possession, which again is a term that's wildly misused. It's not like The Exorcist where their eyes change and they turn into this horrible thing. It's a subtle influence. Eyes change and again is a term that's wildly misused. It's not like The Exorcist where their eyes change and they turn into this horrible thing. It's a subtle assist with possession, which is accountable for the behavior. The unfair is that if you and how much do you think is the evil spirit? So yeah, the health, then entities can get in and they can affect you. The unfortunate no longer really functioning. You're just working out of the reptilian core, so you don't have higher cortical functions. You're not concerned about somebody's emotions for how you're tormenting them. You're violent. You may even want to see them get hurt. And it's a completely different personality that runs out of the inner brain. Well, this is the demonic habitat. That's what they want. They want you to drink spirits. They want you to be severely lowered from your normal function where you're just using the panic part of your brain, solve the problem and get out of the way or kill the enemy, whatever it takes. So this issue with scar tissue, oh, you see what I did there? It's the jacket. It's the jacket. It's a very fascinating holographic connection where as you heal the scars in your body and as your body gets blood flow, then you're having a psychological healing because you're not in pain all the time. And over time, you're actually no longer irritated. all the time. And when you're not irritated all the time, you don't create a habitat for evil. Negative entities.
Oh, this is so much bullshit at once.
The Colonel, Robert Fairlawn, in the books we talk about him, he's one of my top insiders, and we still text each other all the time. Okay, so he's one of the guys I'm in regular. He's never told me anything.
Welcome to the pseudo mythological, physiological bullshit science. David will
to do that. It's very ironic. Anyway, the Colonel unfortunately found himself in a situation where a demon came face to face with him. You could call it face to face. It wasn't coalesced into a fully visible material form. It was more of a very strong presence, and based on set and setting and where he was, it was expected that that would be there. So he got to dialogue with this demon. This is somebody who, it's the only real intel he's ever given me, actually, is about this one thing. And the being told him, he was able to dialogue with the being, and he asked the being explained that it possesses people, that it gets into people, and it can control what they do. And then the Colonel asked the being, what exactly is it that you're looking for? What are the weaknesses in human beings that you're looking to be able to exploit that would then allow you to jump in and avatar into that person temporarily? And the being said 3 words. You remember those 3 words? If you've been watching the show for a long time, then you should definitely know what the 3 words are already. Somebody's going to probably dump them in here. So, hatred, unforgiveness, and fear. Savor that one for a minute. Hatred, unforgiveness, and fear. There's only 3 things that the demonic world is looking for.
Hate leads to
and they
suffering.
know exactly what they are. So hatred is a big one.
Side.
If you start getting angry, if you feel righteously harmed and you want to get justice, and you're a social justice warrior, let's say, and you want to get out there in the streets and yell at people and stuff, well, that's hatred. You haven't gotten to the forgiveness, which is the opposite of unforgiveness. So hatred, if you start behaving that way according to the law of one, even if you think you've been saved by Jesus Christ, you're still responsible on a moment-by-moment basis to uphold the teachings of Christ. You're still responsible to emulate.
He's going to bring Jesus Christ into the pseudo-scientific, physiological, philosophical bullshit.
There's no buy one, get one free, get rich quick scheme for salvation where you just get to become inured from any responsibility for your actions. You're indemnified against blame. Any teaching that would say that is not a teaching I'm going to support, because I think it's way, way off. What really needs to happen is the focus on self-love, self-acceptance, because what are the 3 that the demon said? Hatred, unforgiveness. So if you can't forgive somebody, negative entities are around you right now. They're looking for that. They're looking for that opening when you're not going to be forgiving. They're looking for that opening when you want revenge. They're looking for that opening when you feel righteous anger and that you have a vendetta and that you're justified in complaining and you're justified in throwing this anger and this aggression at somebody. Guess what? When you go into that place and you're trying to even the score and you get hot and angry and you start raising your voice, there's negative entities are interfering with what you're doing, and they blend with your mind. This is what these teachings say. They blend with your mind. So apparently this is anchored into the muscle tissue. And there are these habitats. This is where it really starts to sound like, I realize what I'm about to say, and I'm like, oh my God. But that's why we had to do a show like this, because it's so freaking crazy. It's like, all right, this is a very uniquely esoteric way of looking at reality. That the rotting tissue in the muscle, when it doesn't have blood flow and it's atrophied and it still hurts to push on it, which is why I couldn't sleep for 8 hours, right? Now I can, because I've finally been through this healing. So somebody who's doing yoga, you're going to be able to sleep much longer than somebody who, like me, for many years didn't stretch at all, and everything just...
If your back hurts or your muscle hurts, not because of work you're doing, because of fucking demons.
that way for 20, 30 years in my case or more, there's this sudden buildup of pain and then a massive release. And so that's where I started to realize that the healing process of muscle relief is mirrored on the mass level of ascension. The formula being this: severe pain transfiguring into a sudden release. In other words, the hologram of the physical body, when you get into deep therapy massage, the hologram of the body is teaching you that severe pain leads to sudden release, that at a certain point, the negative gives away, and you have this beautiful, beautiful release that takes place. Well, I realized, my God, this is the ascension formula. It is about going through severe pain. It's about being compressed and then expanding from the compression.
Why
it's like the compression
Wilcock's
creates a
banned
kindling
me
of
yet?
your energy to move forward. So, this is the ascension formula. This is how it really works. The body is teaching us a lesson. The body is teaching us that periodically, when you put extreme pain and you're working on one goal for a long time,
Seriously, why
you don't
hasn't
gradually
Wilcock's
get the
mods
healing. You
banned
just
me
get
yet?
this sudden
I've been talking
explosive
shit.
ripping, and then all of a sudden, bam, the pain is gone. And that's a bloop. And again, I get probably 15 of them every time I go there. That's the average for 4 hours. So I had a saying that I would use with other people since I was at least 15 years old. I came up with this. You could say I channeled it. Spiritual growth is the hardest thing you will ever do. I want you to really think about that one for a minute. This is my own belief system. This is how I got to be where I am. My whole work, my life itself is my spiritual path. I throw myself in fully. I mean, look, I've even got this crazy necklace on. So it's the hardest thing you will ever do. And people didn't always like that saying of mine because many people are looking for a comfort-based spiritual system. A system that guarantees them that they're going to be okay and that everything is safe, and all you have to do is do this one ceremony and get your baptism or whatever the hell it might be, and now you're safe. You can go and cheat on your wife. Well, come get absolution on Sunday at church. You can go yell at somebody.
Coming from a dude who's bastardized the Christian faith and is preaching what is essentially heresy and blasphemy.
You don't get to just have all your karma written off. Your karma is a dynamic interchange, and it's man-made religions that created this idea that there's a karmic exemption because people will pay good money if you can sell them that story and if they're going to believe it. They'll pay good money to think that they can tithe to your organization and that that's somehow going to save them from damnation and hellfire. That's the classic church merged with state paradigm that didn't really stop until the Renaissance and the Reformation, where you actually paid your taxes to the government as a tithe to God because God and the government and the church were all one and the same thing. And I do not think that's a good idea. What we need instead, of course, is liberty, freedom, civil rights, all these very positive things that do not happen in a theocracy where they expect to be the judge of your future. And they tell you that you've been forgiven, and your forgiveness rests upon their acceptance. And if they ostracize you from the group and you're in that orange ray consciousness we talked about before, if you get excommunicated from your church, oh my God, you're anathema. Oh my God, you're a, they have a name for, I forget what the name is in Scientology. There's a name for it, but.
Depressive persons?
Yeah. One of the things that we all have to go through.
Kind of what you do with critics like Stephen Cambrian, Truth Seekers, or literally anyone else. You instantly come out and accuse them of being like a child toucher or diaper sniper, sexual assaulter, and Satanist. Where you immediately take this negative term and like plop it right on them, even though they're skeptical. Guy's not seeing his own bullshit.
Hidden evil and they didn't realize how evil it really was because, okay, the evil fed me some talking points, and I'm pretty happy about this one and this one and this one. It kind of aligns with the way I was raised. I grew up in New York State. You know, it's very left. We have a donation that came in. Wow, $107 from John Patrick Hugh. Oh my God, David, total synchronicity. 2 a.m. peak of the blood moon. My cat suddenly appeared to me in the deep woods, miles from the library's parking lot where she'd escaped out of our van 3 days earlier. Such miraculous blood moon and relief of built-up pain. Personally, that's a beautiful example. Sign of good things to come for the collective. Thank you, John. And Captain Solo, as the cool kids say these days, that blazer is fire. It is so David Wilcock. I am feeling it. So, anyway, lots of good stuff going on here, and I have a very, very big show. So let's make sure that
now
we
that
are
one doesn't
all
get me
on the
banned.
right track. I don't want to get lost. I love you guys, but I also, like, I'm looking at the time and I'm going, oh my God, we're already 1 hour in. So, people didn't always like that saying of mine, which was, again, spiritual growth is the hardest thing you will ever do.
Like 9 more minutes.
But that's how I've looked at it. I have definitely had some type of angelic consciousness advising me through my life. And I think forgiveness is a lot harder than being angry and wanting a vendetta. Forgiveness is the hardest thing you will ever do. Love is the hardest thing you will ever do. Being able to hold back when someone is really hurting you because you love that person, even if they're yelling or screaming or whatever is going on, that's the hardest thing you'll ever do. Being present when somebody's having a severe emotional tantrum and then having the strength to go through that over and over again, that's the hardest thing you will ever do. You see what I'm saying? The things that have caused me to grow, many of them have been very painful. But just like he was saying about the blood moon, and then he found his cat and all that pain led to release, that's how this really works. So yes, people didn't always like this saying, but it is true. And that's why
This is
I
the
do
most
feel as
fantastical, I will say, Wilcock's grift here. It is the most fantastical horseshit. Because he has taken elements from, like, Hinduism, Buddhism, Catholicism, Christianity, UFO bullshit, and he's taken this amalgamation, this abomination of a theology, wrapped it into, like, just a fine rope of, like, absolute bullshit. And he's killing it. This guy dropped $107, and people are buying it and eating it up. It's kind of impressive. Like, I'm going to have to say. But then again, grifting, you know, exploiting dumb, retarded people.
Wiped out by that. That's tomorrow. Then I've got Monday and Friday wiped out on the table. Saturday is when I'm preparing for the show, and Sunday is usually when I'm delivering it. But now we're getting wind attacks every single Sunday. It's coming up again.
Uh-oh.
So I do feel that I've earned everything that I gained.
Even!
This is not stuff that just happened in some magical way. The multi-camera live streaming set that I'm using right now, I began developing that set fully 12 years ago.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
It was 12 years ago in 2013 that I began buying cameras and buying different types of switchers. There was always at least 4 camera angles on my switchers. And I began testing this equipment on how to get this done. And then I actually went through 3 iterations of cameras. The earliest cameras that I used had a little micro USB cable coming out of them. Then I upgraded to the Sony PZW-Z150 or PXW-Z150. Those were the 2 Sony cameras I used. The boxes are right over there. They got wet in this frickin' crazy problem I had with the flooding of my basement. So I still have these camera boxes, and they're now sitting there. But I used those in some of the early videos that we did. I first began doing some kind of either pre-taped or live stream thing. I believe in 2018 was maybe the first time that I actually did.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Place in California. So that was like 5 years. 5 years that I spent tinkering around, trying to get multiple camera angles to work, figuring out the lighting, figuring out the background, like you see the blue behind me. There's multiple things I'm using to get that effect. So ever since 2013, and the gear that I'm using now, I trained on it when I lived in Burbank, and I actually hadn't used it very much. I occasionally did live streams, but then I ended up upgrading everything. And so this is the reason why I have all these camera angles and why I can do this is because I've spent 12 years building up to being able to do this, studying all of the different aspects of filming. Of course, one of the things that people miss out on is the importance of not having echo. I've got blankets all over the walls here so that my voice is not echoing at all. And one of the worst things you can do to a video is to have an echo on your voice. It just reeks of not being professional. And as I've said before, if you're in a room and there isn't much you can do, take 2 chairs and put a blanket over them or towels over them and spread the towels across both chairs. And put that in front of you.
We have a point,
that will start to
Mr.
absorb
Wilcock.
much of the echo coming off of your voice, and it can miraculously clean up the audio. So even if you're just in a hotel and you want to do a little video, just put 2 chairs in front of you and put a blanket over them before you start filming. And you're going to sound so much better. So that's stuff I've learned over many, many, many years.
Oh, fuck's
And
sake.
so again, you know, whether it's the live streams that I'm doing or
Is
whether it's the fact
bullshit
that I
he's
got all
talking
these
about?
readings, I mean, think about it. I was recording my voice
Where's horseshit
on
religion?
a tape recorder every night or every morning, basically, for like 4 years. I've recorded all the dreams that I had, and I also recorded the readings that I was getting through this remote viewing process.
Right.
So the Michael time loops began again right before my divorce in October 2021. Just weeks before it happened is when I started to discover this stuff. And it all tied back to, as I've said before,
Oh my God, this
the
time
apparent
drag when you're
reincarnation
watching
connection
this
I have with Edgar
fucking
Casey.
deal weed.
So there he is sitting at his desk, and it sure does look pretty similar to yours truly, doesn't it?
Oh my
You
God.
know, here we are on the wide, okay, right? And you see me looking at you like this. I think that's a pretty good comparison to what we have right here. It's like, dang. Well, not only is it the facial similarity, it's the astrological similarity. As we said before, you have all these different overlaps between Casey's birth chart, his death chart, and my birth chart. And these are really phenomenal. So is this any type of science? Yes. Dr. Ian Stevenson in the 1960s
Oh my
found
God. People buy this
3,000
shit.
different children in the Middle East, over 3,000, who claimed to remember past lives. And when they would give him data that was verifiable and it appeared that they did remember being this person, you compare their faces at adulthood, and they both have a very similar face. So my story, combined with Edgar Casey, is just one of many examples of this, where the face match is stunningly perfect. 3,000 cases, forensic face matching. So this is not just something I made up. That's what reincarnation is about, is the facial similarity. We already talked about other examples of that last week, but I wanted to go off on
now
the
we got
side
7
tangent.
seconds. So.
Casey was known for doing medical readings where he would know and diagnose your medical problem with no front loading. All you do is be there for the session, and he'd give you these unusual healing treatments, including massage. That's one of the ones we're going to talk about.
Now, let me guess. He
Casey
had an
massage
upfront
stuff
fee,
was so
right?
important.
You piece of shit. He had an upfront fee to get this medical reading and medical healing, right? An upfront fee, like you're fucking. Oh my God. I was supposed to Josh on David Wilcock, but I was getting pissed off. Oh, fuck.
Accuracy. And in my case, I was doing it verbally, and the source began identifying itself as Archangel Michael.
He just claimed he had a 99.9%
from the beginning, and I was missing a bunch of files that we found later, but that's where it started, was January 99. Casey also had an Archangel Michael contact, and this is what's so weird, is that his body was levitating while he was talking, and everything was shaking. The whole house was shaking. You could hear spoons and forks clattering together in the kitchen. You could hear the windows and doors rattling. Windows and doors would open and close. He was levitating off of the table, and he's speaking in this booming voice with no PA system or electronic enhancement. This was some type of miracle from our own perspective as humans, it would only be called a miracle. So this was a very fascinating thing to go through, to realize that this powerful entity that had caused Edgar Cayce to levitate was now giving me a message to humanity.
Oh my god. Okay, so you're the super special, just like the bullshit eschatologists that only God speaks to them. You're the super special. Please form around me, join my cult, because I'm the chosen one prophet, super special. Give me money. Holy shit, dude. This guy's killing it on his grift. All right. Sorry, I gotta cut it. I gotta cut it short, dude. This fucking son of a bitch. Oh man, what a impressive, absolutely impressive level of horseshit. I don't know how that dude on Twitter, was it Maracaibo? I do not know how that dude watches Wilcock for hours on end. I like that 45 or 50 minutes was enough to have me thinking about. Oh man. So I'm gonna take my envious ass out there and do something. That is impressive, dude. I like again, and people just eat that shit up. Stunning. All right. Well, I don't know. Originally I was gonna do some live gambling, but if we can't get 5 fucking viewers, so thanks for stopping by. If anyone did, hopefully if anyone catches this live stream after it's been live, thanks for watching this long. Boy, that commentary mine fucking sucked. And I came in here supposed to laughing at this fool. Anyways, I'm gonna fuck off. Holy shit.